More must-know tips for your decor. Hi, this is Anita Joyce here with Kelly Wilkness, and this is Decorating Tips and Tricks, episode 405, Must-Know Decor Tips, Part 2. We had so much fun with the last episode coming up with our must-know tips that we felt like it really deserved a part 2.
Oh, indeed. And oftentimes the part 2, is not as great as the part 1, but I think this one might even be better than the part 1. We've dug deeper and we have really great tips, and they will sort of all come together and fit together for your decorating arsenal. So if you listen to part 1, definitely dig into part 2. And if you're just joining us now, go back and listen to part 1.
Okay, well, you ready to dive in?
Yeah, you go first.
Okay. So this is something to think about, and it's been an issue for me in the past, and that is to make sure your furniture is scaled properly for your room. I've had situations where I felt like our furniture I had was maybe too big for a room or too small. So if you have cathedral ceilings, you're going to want to make sure that you don't just have small furniture in the room. You're going to want to make sure it's sized for the space, and even with each other, make sure everything's scaled properly with other things in the room. So for example, I had a situation where I have a very tall chest behind my sofa. It's 38 inches tall, which is the height of the back of the sofa. That's a tall sofa, FYI. So it's a massive chest, really. And I put some chairs on either side because I had that when I had a sofa table back there. With this large chest, the chairs started to look like little tiny children's furniture. And it really looked odd, but I left them there for a while because Kevin had just said, I really need a chair there. Well, I took them out because I just was not working. And I ended up having an extra counter stool for the island. I have 4 chairs there, but it's kind of snug. So I took one out, put it by the chest, and it's a little taller than the chest, and it works great. And I cannot tell you how much better that feels than those small chairs next to the chest. So definitely, check your size for the room.
Yeah, and that segues to one of my tips. Scale your furniture to your sofa, in a family room or a living room, any place where you have a sofa. That's the biggest piece. So if your sofa is tall, like Anita's saying, or something, it's a larger, oversized, then you don't want to have little dinky chairs. You want to have other pieces that will complement the size and the mass of the sofa.
And that's interesting you say that, because even at our farm, I have a daybed that I use as a sofa, and it's kind of has delicate legs, but it's big. And I had some delicate French chairs in there that were legs. They were like Louis XV chairs, and so very airy underneath, leggy. It just wasn't working. And I was trying to go with light, small scale chairs because the space wasn't that big. But with that daybed acting as a sofa, the chairs just looked too dinky. When I finally put some club chairs in there, it works. So I've had that situation too.
Oh, I have been in that space, and I have slept on that daybed, and I have sat on those chairs, and I was even allowed to sit on those chairs with red wine, which I learned later on was not something everyone's allowed to do. So I felt I felt really honored and trusted, which made me feel really comfortable. I could see in that space smaller chairs, and I would get where you were going with that, Anita, because it's not a giant room with giant high ceilings. So you would say maybe something with some legs and something a little lighter visually, but no, though the chairs that you have in there really work well, and those chairs are substantial.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they're comfortable too. In fact, when I would take a picture of the room, it looked like doll furniture. Mm-hmm. There was something about it; it just looked off. So, I mean, they're really the chairs I had, they matched that sofa love seat so perfectly. But just because something matches doesn't mean it's working.
Ooh,
you just have to take
that's
in the
a
whole
bonus
picture.
tip right there.
Yeah. You got to look at the whole picture there. Okay, on to my
moving on.
Yeah, next tip. Kelly, have you ever looked at your room and felt like something was off? Like you weren't sure? You weren't sure.
Yeah.
But you thought maybe.
My living room for 3.5 years. I kept looking at it and saying, I know something's wrong here and I'm not sure how to fix it.
Exactly. And it's kind of like the book Madeline, where she goes, something is not right.
Oh, yes. Miss Clavel, something is not right.
Yes, yes. So when you have that feeling like something's not right, guess what?
You're
It's
right.
not. You are right. Well, there's a reason why we say it, where we kind of say, I'm not sure, rather than it's not working. And that's because maybe we just bought something that's kind of expensive, or maybe we just made our husband move something very heavy down the stairs or up the stairs. And now we realize it's not working, or we have to return something. So, we have a vested interest in making whatever is work the way it is. So it's hard to accept that. So that's when we kind of think, you know what, maybe I'm wrong. But the thing is, if you have that nagging feeling, you're not wrong. Don't ignore that feeling. And we've all done it, because it's just, you're vested in whatever the status quo is. But if you have that feeling, there's a reason for it. That is your intuition telling you it is not working. So if you have that feeling, just know it's not working.
Yeah. Trust yourself. And if you
trust yourself, there you go, right there.
Right. And if you're not ready to completely trust yourself, email us and we'll tell you you're right for sure. Because if you're feeling it, I think that is really, really good advice. Here's some more good advice. Do your homework before buying antiques. We've discussed now it's a great time to buy antiques, but the tide is turning. So, that window of great buys and opportunities may be closing, because people are starting to recognize that these old world pieces, particularly the brown ones, are really beautiful, and they're going to start snapping them up again. But just because it's in an antique store that has a nice storefront and, gives out nice bags and tissue paper and stuff like that, doesn't necessarily mean that the piece is worth what they're asking. So maybe you can do better at estate sales or flea markets or eBay or Etsy. So look around. I mean, certainly if on a day trip or a weekend trip with your girlfriends and you're all in the cute little town and you're buying antiques and you see something you love, well, you know what? If you paid a little bit more for it, so be it. It's part of the experience. But if you're really out looking for certain things or adding to your collection, do your homework. Know what it is valued at on the broader market before you start laying down your own hard-earned cash for it.
Right. And we're really talking about your particular area. And because sometimes people ask me, well, what should I be paying for some item? And it really is very specific to your area. And for example, Texas just has always had some of the best prices on antiques, whereas in other states, they would go for a lot more. So you really need to know the market in your area. So keep that in mind.
Yeah, that's a good ancillary tip too. Yeah, definitely geographically.
Right. So if you have a room that is dark or has uneven light, let's say a lot of light from one side, no windows on the other side, a big tip is to put in mirrors on the wall that has no light on it. And we're not talking about little tiny 1 foot by 1 foot windows. I mean oversized mirrors that look like windows, that kind of operate like windows. So we're really talking about big, big mirrors. And we're really talking about those mirrors that sometimes they have an arch at the top and they have facets to them. They have, they're broken into sections so that they kind of look like a window. Those are going to really help even the light or just bring some light into the room.
I love mirrors. Okay, so I'll jump around then to stay on the mirrors. Put a mirror in your entryway. If you don't have one there are so many good reasons, not just, checking your look before you dash out the door. It also will bounce some light around. If you have a door with some glass on it, the light will come in. if you don't have a door with any glass and it's a solid door, it will help bring some additional light and some reflection into the area. It's just a perfect place to have a mirror. And I think I've said before, I love a mirror almost in every single room in the house. I think it has a place in every room. I even have a mirror in my kitchen. And it's not, for gazing at. It's for moving the light around. Mm-hmm. And I think that the entryway is a perfect place to do that.
I think that's a great tip, and I do love mirrors, and there's so many beautiful ones. What a great way to add some style and your personality to the room. Pick out a mirror that appeals to you because they're all so very different, have such different personalities. Now, when we were talking about knowing something isn't right, let's move on to paint, because this is where you can really go wrong, and you can go wrong fast, and I've done it. So the tip is use samples. Don't go ahead and buy paint for an entire room without making sure that that is the correct paint for that room. So you want to have some samples. You want to buy some paint samples and try those out on the room, or go with Kelly's tip, which is to use that Sampleize company. And those are samples of your paint color, and they're basically like 1 foot by 1 foot, and they're removable. They're repositionable wallpaper, basically. So you can put them on your wall year round and see if you like them.
Yeah, no, that's great. And we had somebody email us recently that they had purchased those. So I think that's a really good tip. Choose a simple tile backsplash. I was just with a dear friend yesterday, and she was asking me what could she do about her tile backsplash. She's had subway, but in between the subway, she put sort of a Mediterranean, she has a Mediterranean home. She put Mediterranean looking tiles, and she really doesn't want them there anymore. She's feeling like it's dating the kitchen. She's like, remember when I did my kitchen? The girls were in kindergarten. And first of all, I couldn't believe it was that long ago, but here's it is. She used subway, and then, so that's rectangle, and then she has these square decorative tiles. It's going to be really hard.
Are they mixed in?
They're mixed in.
Oh,
right. So
wow.
however the tile design was. So, my advice to her is, of course you can do it, but you're going to have to find a square tile that either matches the subway or is in another neutral, or maybe like a crackled version of your white, just something that's going to bring neutrality to the background. So, it's a couple of tiles. She might even be able to paint them. We've discussed that, and a lot of our listeners have actually done that, completely painted their backsplash to great success. So that's something you can do. But if you're doing a kitchen now, or you're thinking about doing a kitchen later, try to stay away from being swayed into some sort of colorful decorative tile. I was just at a tile store the other day, and my head was spinning with all the beautiful tiles. And I even brought home some tile samples. Like, I was thinking, why am I even bringing these home? But I got so swept up in the moment. I got some for a client, and I was like, I'm going to get these for me. Maybe I'll do something with these. They're beautiful, but it's something you're going to have to live with for a long time if it's the backsplash of your kitchen, or if it's in your bathroom. So think long and hard about how you can add the interest or the pops of color that you want in accessories and other ways, other than putting in permanent tiling.
Good point. And I remember when, several years ago, I was picking out tile. Well, it was a long time ago. And my friend was saying, I would go with these hand-painted Portuguese tiles. And I remember at the time thinking, I like them, but I remember thinking, I just don't think I'm going to like those down the road. And so you really, the simpler is the better. And remember when everyone had that backsplash behind the stove, and it was a mural, basically, or different tiles there. And I balked at that when we built this house. I said, no, I don't want anything back there. And my builder looked at me like I had grown a horn or something. But now that's kind of the thing people are doing. So
Right. So
yes,
no one's doing that anymore. It's so true. And the tiles now that are very, very popular, they're not all of them are the actual process of, I think you say caustic tiles, but they're large patterns, if you will, lots of times just in white or black, or gray and white and black. You know what I'm talking about? There's like a
Yes,
swirly pattern, and you see them everywhere. It's going to be so, oh, you did your kitchen in 2018 or your bathroom in 2018 any second now.
Oh, I know. When I see that as a backsplash, it kind of makes me sad because I think you're really going to regret that probably about 5 years from now.
Exactly. Just about 5 years. You're absolutely right. Because you're going to like, oh, that's really pretty. And then all of a sudden it's going to be like, oh, it's so dated.
It's not that I don't like them, but I just don't think they have that has a staying power.
It doesn't. It doesn't. I was tempted, and I actually found a little pile of them that I have taken from maybe I'd bought a one-off or they gave me samples at a tile store when we were doing this house. And I put felt on the back of them, and I've made them trivets.
That's how you do it. Exactly. Yeah. That's how to enjoy it.
Or buy a tray that has them on there, or be crafty and make a tray yourself with those tiles.
Exactly. So speaking of trendy tiles, that's my next tip.
Okay.
Is not to put a lot of money into trendy things, to invest money in investment pieces. Because those trendy things, if it's trendy, it's not going to be in style forever. And at some point, it's going to look like it's not in style anymore, and you're probably going to want to get rid of it. So, so just really invest in those investment pieces. Remember the deconstructed furniture that was out for a while?
Oh, yes.
I really wanted a sofa or a chair out of that so badly. And I waited. I held my hand down rather than ordering. Waited a couple of years.
Sat on your hand.
Then I know. And now I'm so glad I did because they weren't cheap.
No, they weren't cheap. And, if someone didn't get that look, they'd be like, did you just pull that out of the attic? Or are you getting that reupholstered? Or the people that would get it, tick, 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 5 years later, you're like, oh, wow.
Yes.
So dated, so done. And you know what? So, in a sense, trying too hard. And you are not a person that I would ever say trying too hard, but I could see being tempted by that. I liked them too, but I was more tempted by, and this was many years ago, those sofas that were done in all different fabrics. It'd be like cabbage rose on the back.
Oh, I wanted that. I wanted that too, but I didn't end up doing it. But I wanted it.
Yeah, they were all like $10,000 and $12,000 couches, which is probably the only thing that really stopped me.
It saved us both, didn't it?
Yes, in so many ways. Saved and saved. Okay, this one. Use furniture placement to designate and delineate spaces. On the same line as don't have all your furniture pushed up against the wall. Hey, you can, especially if you are somebody living in an open concept space, you can really section it off in such a smart way, creating easy passages and just a nice flow in your house by using your furnishings as delineators of the space. A rug helps a lot in doing that as well. But even if you're not using rugs, put your sofa and have the back facing the open concept kitchen, and maybe put a console table behind it. So educate your family, your guests, the people living in the house as how to use the space by the way you place the furniture.
Well, that's actually what I was talking about that chest behind my sofa. That's the kitchen is behind the sofa. And so that is exactly what we did. I didn't want people sitting in the kitchen to feel like they're facing the back of the living room. And that's why I put the chest facing the kitchen, so you don't feel like you're, in the back of the room.
Yeah.
So I think that absolutely you can. If it's a really large space, you really have to do that. You can't have one large seating area in some of these massive rooms.
Yes, so true. And then what a fun opportunity to have more than one seating area.
Exactly. So, okay. So my next tip is, did you want to go on about that one?
No, I'm good.
Okay. The next tip is using something in an unexpected way. And this is something that I've always thoroughly enjoyed doing because it's a creative, fun way to repurpose something. So when I repurpose things, I like to do it in a way that it wasn't originally intended for. So, for example, I have a champagne bucket in my bathroom, and I have draped our hand towel over the bucket, and that's kind of our towel rack. So that's kind of an example. And then there's a big basket. I'm trying to remember what I have. I think it's an oyster basket I have by the tub, and then I've rolled up towels in there. It was obviously not meant for towels originally. A ladder that I have towels hanging on in another room. And then I used a garden post as my newel post for my stairs. And then we took beadboard that used to be in an old house. It's antique beadboard that was painted green and blue and I think white or gray. And then I used that for my ceiling on my porches at my house. So there's so many fun ways you can take old elements and repurpose them in a new fun way.
Oh, you're speaking my love language doing that. I had the opportunity to do so much of that with this house because of so many sort of weird and interesting and really lovely things that were left behind. Oh, yeah. I just think, how can I give that new life? One that just comes to mind because I was just cleaning it over the weekend. My porch was so dirty. And so I cleaned that all up. And one thing I did out there is I have a lamp. And so I didn't want a fabric shade or anything like that. So I had this odd little wiry sort of bucket or pail. And somebody who visited told me it's a scalloping bucket because it's just wire. And so I guess you would collect scallops in it and, let it drain out. But I made it the lampshade, which was super easy because all I did was push the screw part of the finial up through the wire and then put the finial on it. Done.
Oh, how fun.
It was barely a DIY.
I love that. Oh, I've seen those and they're really, and I've even seen those put over little chandeliers, the baskets over the chandeliers, the wire baskets. I think it's just kind of a fun.
Yeah. I have it over. It's just like an old home goods lamp base with a Edison bulb in it, but it really is interesting. It makes the whole thing a lot more interesting. Plus it can stay outside. Okay. What do I have next? Go dark in dim places. This is me talking to myself again because I really want to paint my bedroom Kendall charcoal and I keep getting a little nervous about doing it. I think it's just it's very pleasing, particularly in a bedroom or in a study or a sort of a room that's off to itself. And why fight it? It's like, fighting your bangs or fighting your part. It's just never going to work out. It's going to do what it wants to do anyway. I have this weird knot center of my head, knot side part, and that's just where my hair does it. And so I've given up fighting with it for many years ago, and that's just what it is. So I think I'm going to give up the fact that my master bedroom is dark, except for 20 minutes at around 3 p.m. during daylight savings time, and then maybe 4 p.m. or 2 p.m. the other times of the year, but very brief period of time when I'm barely in there. So why not make it dark and just really embrace that? So if you have a north-facing room or a room that just doesn't have a lot of windows or small windows, or you need to have the window coverings pulled because of privacy needs or whatnot, try a dark, moody color. There's so many great ones out there now that are really popular. Those navies are so yummy, and the dark, dark greens. And I, of course, love the grays. So give it a whirl.
Well, and I think a corollary to what you're saying is don't try to make your house something it isn't. So you're talking specifically about a dark room. If it's really dark, it's just dark, and you just need to embrace that. But so many other things about our houses, I think sometimes we're fighting what it is naturally, and we spend so much effort fighting it when, there is a way to embrace it and appreciate our houses for what they are, and just to kind of celebrate their uniqueness. So, that's kind of an approach that you can take about so much more than just a dark room.
Yeah. Good overall tip. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So my next one is, and this one is probably more for me than anyone because, I love my little French chairs. I love, love, love them. But make sure your seating is comfortable, not just pretty. Okay. Am I just talking to myself? I'm probably the only one that does this.
No. I was reading something. Bunny Williams, somebody interviewed her, who hasn't interviewed her, but she's like, and I have these little chairs that I just love. And I put them on the other side of my fireplace because they're really not comfortable. And I really don't want anyone to sit on them anyway. So,
I still have some chairs that are 200-year-old hand-painted federal chairs. They're those green ones that I've talked about. I still haven't fixed them. So you really can't, not only would they not be comfortable, the seat would probably break if you sat on them. So when I had some people over recently, I had trays and bottles on them, please don't sit here because I don't want anyone falling
exactly.
through.
If you're not Thomas Jefferson, you're not allowed to sit on that chair. If you're not writing,
If you weigh over 80 pounds, probably not the chair for you, which is like all of us.
Yeah. No. Oh, gosh. Well, those are real antiques, so you have to be careful with those.
I'm going to fix them up, but yeah.
Don't you just love a great recommendation from a friend? Well, we're delighted to be recommending these companies and their wonderful products to you today. And let them know your friends at DTT sent you. BritBox just keeps getting better. The new Archie is amazing. And it's not the comics. It's about Cary Grant. Archie is the brand new limited series starring Jason Isaacs as Archie Leach, the man who became Cary Grant. From the award-winning screenwriter of Philomena, Archie tells Grant's born in Britain, made in Hollywood story, the dramatic grit to glamour transformation that led him to become one of the most famous people in the world. You are going to absolutely love the acting, but also the styling, the outfits, the scenery. It's the first time his story has been told in collaboration with his daughter Jennifer Grant and ex-wife Diane Cannon. The performances from Jason Isaacs and the rest of the cast are amazing, and it's only available on BritBox. So sign up for BritBox today to stream Archie and other fan favorites from any device. And we have a special limited time offer for our U.S. and Canadian listeners. Get 50% off, yes, that's 50% off your first month when you sign up for a monthly plan. But only if you go to BritBox.com and use our promotion code DTT at checkout. You're going to love Archie. So head over right now and get 50% off your first month of BritBox. Use the promotion code DTT at BritBox.com. Pesto pork chops over Parmesan polenta. Not that easy to say, but oh so easy to make with Green Chef. Green Chef is the #1 meal kit company for eating well, and we have such a great deal for you. You're going to save $250. Listen on for the details on that. Green Chef makes eating well easy for any lifestyle, whether you're keto, paleo, vegan, vegetarian, gluten-free, or just looking to eat more balanced meals. You know, we're getting into the busy holiday season, so it's a perfect time to have Green Chef help you out. Let Green Chef take the work out of eating clean this holiday season with their chef-crafted, nutritionist-approved recipes featuring fresh ingredients and nothing artificial. And you know what? You don't have to lose track of your healthy eating habits during the holidays. Every Green Chef customer gets a free session with their registered dietitians who will walk you through how to make clean eating work for you. So sign up for your free session and start on the road towards better health today. And that deal I want to tell you about, visit greenchef.com/DTT250 and use the code DTT250 for $250 off your order. So that's greenchef.com/DTT250 and use the code DTT250 for $250 off your order. Big enough rug.
Oh, yeah.
Said it before, worth saying again. We have a whole rug episode, which we can link in the show notes here. Really important. If you can only go dinky for whatever reason or a small size, just don't even have it. Don't have a rug. I have this pet issue now where I just rolled them up, and I'm just going to be like this for a little while. I am probably going to try the Ruggables, which are those washable rugs. I'm exploring some other pet alternatives. So, I just rolled them up and one I threw away. But when I replace them, I'm going to have a rug that is big enough for my rooms. And even though my room is very odd shaped, that's also a holdback in my living room.
What about indoor, outdoor? Is there some type of rug where you could buy where you could take it out and hose it down?
Yeah. So, that's like, my pet
the Ruggables
issue.
are that way. Yeah,
right. They're washable, but the other one's the indoor, outdoor ones. But the real tip here is, big enough. If you're talking about your dining room, you want to be able to have someone pull the chair out and the chair still be on the rug.
Yes, true.
All the legs of it. You don't want your sofa and your flanking chairs to be hanging on by their toenails, so to speak. They need to be, at least halfway on, maybe more, particularly if you're seeing the other side of the rug. If it's against the wall, you can kind of get away with it not going all the way. But, it's kind of like you'll know big enough when you see it, but you're definitely going to know too small when you see it as well. So go for the bigger rug.
How about this tip when you are, listen, back to the rugs though.
Yeah.
That is such a problem if you go with rugs that are too small. It really can change the look of the room. It just doesn't feel luxurious.
Right.
So I think that's very important.
And let's just take that one step further, because we have talked, not so much recently, but in the past, a lot about layering rugs. So if you're going to layer rugs, or you're currently layering rugs, you still want to have substantial sized rugs to layer. If you have a big sisal, you don't want to put a really small rug on top of it. The next rug has to be big enough. Or if they're sort of overlapping and maybe going through a long room, they can't be just little bath mat type rugs. They need to be big as well. So layering doesn't give you the license to go smaller. I guess what I'm saying, right?
Yes. Well said. I think that's a good point. Another tip is to mix modern items with antiques. I think sometimes when we go all one way or the other, it ends up feeling very stiff, and just it isn't its best. I mean, just it's kind of like too much of the same thing can be boring. So I think this is such a great way to add a fresh, modern feel to your room while embracing the past too. So I think it's a great look to have both. And, gone are the days where you really just have antiques or you just have modern. I think it just works so well to have both in a room.
Yeah. And you know what's really fun? Paint the inside of a closet. Such a fun weekend project.
Really? It doesn't sound fun to me.
Oh, come on, Anita. It's fun. Don't tell everyone it's not fun. It's fun.
Okay.
No, first of all, you get to purge your closet, which is really fun.
Well, I do like that.
Take the stuff out of there, pare it down, and then pick a really fun color. I did this in my other house. I painted the coat closet, which was super small, but I painted it this sunflowery yellow. And it was just so fun every time you opened it to get a coat or umbrella. I mean, I don't know why I had the time to do that. I guess it was before I had a podcast and a blog and a friend named Anita.
When did you have this kind of time? That's what I want to know.
I don't know. That was many years ago. But I really enjoyed it. And here we don't really have a coat closet, but if I did, I would also paint it. So that's a fun way to bring in your pop color in a surprising way. And it's kind of just like a little secret for you. I mean, how many people are going to go get a coat out of your closet that isn't somebody in your family? I just think it's fun. And it's particularly if it's a closet where maybe your kids are putting their backpacks and stuff like that. I'm sure they're not going to be like, wow, Mom, everything's gotten so much better since you painted the inside of the closet turquoise. But, it is fun.
Oh, yeah, but be careful, because I've had painters come paint closets, and then much later, you find that top and it's got paint on it.
Oh, no. Oh, yeah, that would be bad.
Yeah. But, well, if the closet was small enough, I would be into that.
Here's a really good tip you might not have thought of. Take all the stuff out first.
Yeah,
Anita.
you should. Of course. Yeah, of course you should.
Don't paint around your clothes.
That's the point. That stuff should have been taken out. Exactly. Ay. Okay. So we talked about mixing modern things with antiques. Here's another mix I think that really works, and that is mixing budget things with expensive things. And if you have some expensive heirloom pieces or some quality investment pieces in the room, that really is going to be what people are going to notice. And you can get away with putting some budget things in there, but people won't read the room. It won't be read as a budget room. They will get the feel of it being a luxury room because of the luxury things in the room or the investment pieces. So you don't have to spend a lot of money on everything. So these are the kind of things, too, I like to have a lot of bang for my buck. So I kind of look at the item and say, is this something that there's a cheaper version of that looks just as good? And if there is, I'll go for the cheaper thing. If there really isn't, then that's the thing that I feel like, okay, that's going to be my investment piece.
Love it. If you have a small space, how about furnishing it with some white furniture, glass tables, lucite, things with low visual noise? That's going to make a small room feel a whole lot bigger. We've done this to really great success in my daughter's extra room, like her lounge, Laura's lounge upstairs. It's a small space. It
sounds like a bar.
She doesn't have any ID yet. No, much too young for that yet. So I have wood planking on the walls. It's a real low ceiling. It's this weird little room that may have been added. It's kind of over the kitchen. I don't know at what point between 1886 and when we moved in, this room was added, but it seemed like it was not in the original plan. So it's kind of an odd little room. And you step down into it. So we've done all white with pops of pink and used lucite, very narrow lucite coffee table. I painted my little orphan side tables white. She's got a white Crate and Barrel sleeper sofa, like a love seat one that pulls out. And then we did this really cool low bookshelf where she can have her there's a shelf at the bottom where I got white baskets so she can have her different subjects with her textbooks and her notebooks in there. And then she has her TV sitting on that. And again, it's all white. There's some silver trim, some kind of chrome trimming. And what a difference, because when we first moved into the house, that room kind of just got the extra furniture and it was a lot of brown stuff in there. And it did nothing for the room and she didn't like it. And it just made the room feel so crowded. So what a difference. Even some of the little brown pieces that were in there got a coat of white and went back in and it completely changed the space.
Oh, yes. Great idea. Okay. Plants. Add plants to your house. I just think even if you have a brown thumb and they're not going to live that long, they're still going to add this outdoor feeling to the house, especially during this time of the year where it's kind of brown outside and cold. It's so nice to have some fresh green plants inside. So I think it's well worth it. And I'm just thoroughly enjoying my grape hyacinth bulbs that I have blooming right now and a few other things that I have inside right now. They're just so wonderful to have.
Okay. Heard it before. You're going to hear it again. Edit, edit, edit. If it's meh,
true.
you don't have to go to joy. If it's meh, just get rid of it. It doesn't have to make you do cartwheels to keep it. Just like, do I really even like this? No, let it go. Get rid of it. It's okay.
Yeah, do not focus on what you paid for it. That's not what it's about.
Right.
If you're not enjoying it and you don't need it, it's time to move it on.
Right. Or what somebody else paid for it.
Yeah, maybe. Well, sell some things. I think that's a great idea. Or give some things away, give them to your favorite charity, let them use it for maybe some just for them to make some money so that they can work.
Yep. So easy enough. That's a fun thing to do. Just really go around with a, objective set of eyes rather than subjective. Take the emotion out of things and whatnot and be ruthless.
Yes, yes. And create your own signature decorating style. And the reason we say this is because I think so many times people want to put everything into a box. They want to just pick out one decorating style and then make their room fit that particular decorating style. But I think it makes much more sense to kind of let you kind of go through and see all the styles and you pick and choose what works for you and then create your own style. I don't want you to feel stuck in a box where you have to go with like mid-century modern. Maybe you like mid-century modern, but you like French too, and you want to combine them together. I think that makes for a more beautiful, more unique room. So I think that's something that's really a value to do.
And let's all remember the rule of threes when you're creating vignettes on your shelves, on any horizontal surfaces, in your entry table, in the middle of your dining room table. Incorporate the rule of threes, and it's going to be a lot easier to make a lovely vignette, something that makes sense. So 3 items, varying heights, oftentimes varying textures really is nice when you're doing a vignette like that. And if for whatever reason you have a big space that needs to be bigger, at least stick with an odd number. So I wouldn't get more than maybe 5 pieces tops, but the rule of threes will really help you decorate. And when you think about it and then you start seeing things in magazines or out in the world or in shops or things like that, you'll notice that for whatever reason, it's very pleasing to the eye. Like, this is scientifically proven. It's not just a decorating tip off the top of someone's head. It really is true. There's something in the human brain that 3 items really resonates with us, and it is pleasing to the eye.
I so agree. I think that's such a great tip to go with 3. Sometimes 2 works, a pair, but a lot of times 3 is a magic number. You know how boring some hallways are? I mean, I think it's easy for them to be very boring because usually they're narrow. You don't have room to put any furniture in there. So there's no soft things. So you don't have room for chairs. You don't have room for pillows or for, a lot of times there's no window. So you don't have any curtains either. So if you've got a hallway that you feel like is boring, here's a fun thing to do. Paint the walls a bold color or paint the doors a bold, fun color. I think that's a great way to really add some excitement to your house. And and then it's not a room, so you're not stuck matching that color to all your fabrics and everything. So it doesn't matter if you can't find anything to go with that color. It's the hallway. You don't need to find anything to match it.
I like that idea. I always sort of thought of a hallway as the palette cleanser, that I didn't want to do anything too crazy in there. And mine is white, which, most of my house is. But I'm finding myself wanting to do something there. So I think that the step I might take is the doors.
Yeah.
Not the walls. Because sometimes it's hard to find that stopping point.
Exactly.
If your hallway going down the stairs or something like that, you're like, I'd have to drop a little like corner molding or something, and then it becomes a bigger project than you want it to be. So I think I'm going to try the door.
I think that's a great idea. And I'm with you too. Sometimes there isn't a good stopping point. And here's the thing too. It's going to be a lot faster just to paint the doors than to paint the walls. So there's no artwork you have to take down. You don't have to move anything. And but you do have the same issue where do you stop the color?
Yeah.
So that's do you use that same color on the inside?
Oh, you mean of the doors?
On the door, yeah.
Oh, I think I would just do it on the
outside.
Yeah, the door, the face of the door facing the hallway. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Yeah, to just do the doors. I think that would be great. So what's your next one?
Use every room in your house regularly. Now, if you have a big, giant house, that might be hard to do, but it's, there's just something not great to have stagnant rooms. Now, of course, if it's a guest room and it's rarely used, I guess you can kind of get away with that. But try to have reasons to go into each room of your house on a regular basis. Maybe it is a guest room, but maybe you set up a little desk in there and you do some work in there sometimes. You're rotating around and moving around. Or, if you have a living room that doesn't get used that much, well, maybe rethink that living room and make it a little more comfortable, make it a little more approachable, and start to use it. It's just not good sort of, mojo to have rooms in your house that are never used. And, aside from it just being sort of a waste of space that you're cooling or heating and all of these other things, it's a really good idea to have, to imprint the life of your family on all the spaces that you have in your home.
Well, and I think it's so sad to have space in your room, in your house that you're not using. So I think it's a great idea if you find that there's a room in your house that you're not using, to think about how you might be able to transform it in a space that you will use. So I think that's a great idea. And I'm going to add on to that one and say, if you have a guest room, obviously this is not where you're sleeping, but I think every host should sleep in their guest room maybe once a year or every other year, to make sure that it is a nice place for your guests to stay.
Oh, that's smart.
So we stayed. So I thought we were going to check out our guest room, because I redid the guest apartment. So we stayed over here, and it was really worthwhile because Kevin said, you know what, you really need there's no space to put nightstands on either side of the bed because it's kind of tucked in a corner. He said, you know what, we really need some lamps in here. And I thought, you know what, that's a great idea. So I actually found some at IKEA that I need to go get that are floor lamps that are adjustable, that I think I'm going to get for the space. But we wouldn't know that had we not stayed over here. So, yeah.
Am I feeling another IKEA episode coming on?
Well, I've got to go back over there.
Well, let me know. Maybe we'll do a field trip. Was that, okay, no, I know Laura was in school, But because I remember I was trying to get out of there, and then, that table I had to take apart and everything. That was so kooky. So if anybody missed that IKEA episode, that is definitely worth listening to. But maybe it was September. So we did that a while ago.
Well, and Evie and I actually went to IKEA. I had to go there to get something, and she went with me over the holidays. The lines were crazy, but she had so much fun going in there, and we, it was just kind of like, we needed some towels and some other things. It was so fun, and we even ate at the restaurant. So, which I
did not tell me you did that. Oh my gosh, how fun. Okay, so maybe we'll have to do that, and I'll finally get that bag of meatballs that I tried to get last time. They'll probably have some good stuff for spring.
They had a pretty decent chocolate dessert in their restaurant that was gluten-free. Just going to say that.
Wow.
Yeah, it's hard to find. So there you go.
Good to know. Okay, I guess that might be my last tip maybe for today. We can always do another part of these. Switch up your coffee table display regularly. It is a decor hotspot. If you watch my YouTube channel, I have a couple of episodes on, creating these vignettes in various decor hotspots is what I call them in your home, where it's, so there's 2 or 3 places that you switch up on a regular basis. They're small, so it's not overwhelming, and you can do it just at a whim, or you could do it seasonally. Well, your coffee table is definitely one of those spots. So start with a tray, then incorporate the rule of 3s, create a vignette, maybe a new candle, maybe some flowers.
Okay, well, my last tip is to add texture to the room. So if you have a lot of hard spaces or you don't have texture, that's something good to add. You may already have texture in the room. So that would be baskets, rugs, pillows, fabrics, textiles, anything like that is going to add some texture to the room.
I'm thinking about adding some grass cloth.
Oh,
I'm very excited about it. So we might even need to do a little section of an episode about grass cloth, because I am just completely smitten by it.
Let's move on to our hot topic.
Okay, this is a good one.
So the hot topic is about luxury items on Amazon. So the question is, will luxury items work on Amazon? So right now there's some beauty high-end luxury items on Amazon, but if you look around, there's not a lot of high-end home decor on there or other high-end items. So like if you search for a suit, let's say you search for a suit jacket on Nordstrom's, you're going to get a very different result from what you're going to find if you search on Amazon. Because you're going to find something on Amazon that you're not going to want to buy.
Well, here's the thing, I think, with Amazon, and sort of what I took from that article that that we were reading about this. I think it's time, number one, to rethink Amazon. Sometimes people hear Amazon and they don't like that idea because they think it's something that's definitely coming from overseas. It's the cheapest of the cheap, and you're supporting Amazon itself as a company. But I think you need to rethink Amazon in the sense there are a lot of small companies on Amazon now, and a lot of people are trying to break into that marketplace. Like even people that had Etsy shops, or we have a friend who sells this cookery item, and she's on Amazon. So there are small independent companies there. So that is one thing I would like people to think about with regard to Amazon. And then specifically, is Amazon a place for luxury items? I don't think it has gotten to that point yet, although they might have sort of like maybe their entry level items. Like if you sell high end purses, maybe you'll have your wallet or credit card carrier on Amazon, maybe testing the waters. But I don't think people think of Amazon as a place for luxury items. I don't necessarily know that it ever needs to be, or whether people will ever consider it to be a place for that kind of item.
I actually saw a couple of $10,000 and $20,000 Rolex watches on there.
See, now I would never in 80 million years buy anything that's more than like, maybe $100 rug or something. I cannot even imagine doing that. Having the confidence to buy something on Amazon that will cost you that amount of money. I don't.
Well, that's the point. They're on there, but is anyone buying them? And I would have to say probably not, because if you're spending that kind of money on a watch, I would think going to a reputable jewelry store would be a lot safer, because individuals can sell on Amazon and you don't really know who you're buying from. And so if the person doesn't have a lot of reviews, it can be quite risky. I mean, it's kind of like buying on eBay or Etsy. It really depends on who's selling the item and how reputable they are. But then so I think there are going to be more luxury items on there, but probably not the high end. Probably, I mean, in the article, they talked about a $500 price point, where if it's less than 500, it would probably sell okay, but above 500, it's probably not going to be where the person wants to buy the item from. Like, I see a lot of Kate Spade things on there. Not that would necessarily be it's not, it's not the highest end purse you can buy. It's not an Hermes, purse, but it's still a very nice brand, and they can be quite expensive. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I think it really kind of depends. But, there's also the issue from the seller, like, is this going to cheapen their brand? And I have a friend who had a business, and she was selling some luxury items. And at one point, Costco approached her about selling her items, and she wouldn't do it because she felt like it was going to cheapen her brand. I mean, she had been on Oprah and everything. I mean, it was she was a legit businesswoman with a really impressive company. But I have to say, they were different times. It was about 20 years ago. Now, I think if Costco approaches you about selling your item, I don't care how luxury it is, I would accept it now. I mean, things have changed a lot. And there's a lot of luxury things that are sold on in discount stores. And I don't think it's hurting their cachet at all. I've seen some really high-end items at TJ Maxx purses, $500,000, like Gucci kind of purses. I don't think it's hurting them at all.
I don't know. I think a shopper at TJ Maxx, myself included, like, you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe there's a Burberry purse here. Like, and I would not think less of Burberry. I would just think I was so lucky and so glad I decided to troll through that day, because I would just think, oh, it sort of randomly showed up there. But if you have a store, like, quote unquote, storefront on Amazon and you're Burberry, I think you might be hurting your brand a little bit.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, I don't know. I think
that if you're going to spend that much money on a luxury item, it's also the whole experience of purchasing it. If I was going to buy something from Tiffany, I would really want to be in the store, and I want the box, and I want someone to be really nice to me, and when I buy it and all of that. I don't know that I want to click and get it shipped to me in Prime.
Yeah. Well, no, that's a good point. I think there is some dividing line. So you do want it to feel like a luxury item, but I think more and more, I think there are going to be some luxury items on Amazon.
I 100% agree with you. There definitely will be. And, as we have said before, and what I was said in the beginning, like, Amazon has changed drastically. Obviously, it started out, when I think about that company and how it started with him selling books out of his garage, and his wife was probably like, what? Are you going to sell books out of the garage?
He made no money. He didn't even make money for a long time. Well, that's changed.
But I mean, I know it's a huge, huge, huge company, but I was like, hey, respect, because that was a risk. And then look how far he's taken it. But the marketplace has definitely changed. Obviously, it was books. Then it was kind of like books. And, if you needed something very practical, like something,
I just bought a spigot for my water dispenser. It just came. But
that's what people were thinking about.
Came today. Didn't have to leave the house for it. It's great.
Right. But now you can think about it like, we're always telling people, hey, you can get these great rugs. Hey, definitely you want a side table. Hey, look on Amazon. So that has changed, I think, in the last maybe 5 years, where you're seeing things like that.
Right. But because of the algorithm, it's never going to be great as long as they have this algorithm for trendy things, because the things that are going to be shown to you if you search for something is something that's had great sales or steady sales over several years or several months, usually years. That's the stuff that's going to be shown to you. So if it's something super hot, it's just hot off the press, it's just been out for a few months, it's not even going to show up in your search results probably.
Correct.
Because of their algorithm. So, it's got some difficulties as far as some luxury items that are trendy.
Inevitably, with the new year come wellness goals. One very effective and easy to reach goal is to add Dose to your wellness regime. Dose is expertly formulated organic wellness shots that support your liver in one delicious drink. Formulated with ingredients clinically shown to support liver health. Potent turmeric, milk thistle, and ginger. There's 0 sugar and 0 calories. Did you know that your liver performs over 500 special functions? Since I learned all that my liver is doing, I started with Dose to support all those vital functions. I take a shot of refreshing Dose 2 times per week to combat everyday toxins from food, meds, alcohol, and unhealthy air. Since starting with Dose about a month ago, I am definitely feeling an overall improvement in my health. So if you want to give Dose a shot and invest in your health like I have, Dose is offering DTT listeners 15% off your first order, plus an additional 15% off if you subscribe for a monthly delivery. That's 30% off your first order. So go to dosedaily.co/DTT and use the code DTT. That's dosedaily.co.co/DTT and use the code DTT. Go ahead, clean out your closet, then head straight to Quince. I love every item Quince offers, from wardrobe to decor, and I can really recommend their Ultra Stretch Super Wide Leg Pant at $49.90. The price is unbeatable, and the look is so flattering. It keeps you in on top and flares out of the bottom. Everything feels right with Quince. The price, the quality, and the sustainability. Quince offers a range of luxury wardrobe and home goods at prices within reach. And like Quince's clothing, their home goods are priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands. Quince only works with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing practices, along with premium fabrics and finishes. Once you've cleaned out your closet and refreshed with Quince, you can also add something to your home decor. So give your wardrobe and your home the refresh it needs with Quince. Go to quince.com/DTT to get free shipping and 365-day returns on your next order. That's Quince, QUINCE.com/DTT for free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/DTT. And let me know how you love those pants. Good, interesting topic, though.
Yeah, so I thought it was very interesting. Yeah. So time will tell on that one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what is your crush for today?
Okay, my crush is following Diane Keaton on Instagram. I don't know why I started following Diane Keaton on Instagram. I think it sort of happened one night. I had a friend over and her daughter, Laura and I had this woman over and her daughter were really friendly with them. She told us about bumping into Diane Keaton at a restaurant and how nice she was to them. And it was some like small Mexican restaurant. It wasn't like some big fancy schmancy LA restaurant. And then we both looked her up on Instagram and we started following her. It's like following your friend on Instagram. She's so nice and approachable. And then she has all these other famous friends that you'll see like liking her picture and commenting and stuff like that. And you kind of just get swept up into the fun. She's, I just think, a great actress. She's clearly an icon, been around a long time, but she is such an absolute real person here on Instagram, sharing all kinds of fun photos and things she just finds funny, or, some throwbacks to some of her films and things like that.
Oh, it's a bunch of videos. I'm just looking right now. Okay, I just followed her.
There. So, I mean, she's not hurting for followers. She has, bazillions of them, but it is really fun to follow her, and you definitely get swept up in the, sort of the friendship that's going on over on her account. So highly recommend it.
Oh, great. Maybe she'll invite us over, right?
Well, she doesn't live that far from me, I'm sure.
I'm sure it's coming. There you go.
I'm sure it is. Now that she sees we're both following her, I'm certain it's coming.
Well, there you go. It's going to come any day.
And, she loves transformation of the home as well. She's written several books about that.
Yes.
The House That Pinterest Built is a great book that she wrote.
Oh, yes. That's right. Okay, so my crush is a delicious tea. I'm very fussy about my tea.
Mm-hmm.
And my crush is, I just had some people over for tea, and this is the tea that I serve them. In fact, Evie and I go for our birthdays. Once a year, we splurge and go to the St. Regis for afternoon tea. And this is the tea that they serve because I asked them. And it is the English breakfast tea from Tea Leaves brand. And it's a blend of Keeman and Ceylon teas. And it is just right because sometimes some of the teas can be kind of bitter. But this one is just very subtle, very delicious. But, make sure your water is boiling hot for black tea. Steep it for, let it steep for maybe 2 to 3 minutes. No more than that. And about a teaspoon for 8 ounces of water. But then once it's sitting there for a while with the loose tea, it is going to become bitter over time. So drink it up really fast, or at least pour it up. And it is delicious. We'll include the link, but that is just divine.
Yeah, that's good to get tips on teas, because you see so many at the grocery store, Whole Foods, or at wherever, and it's hard to know. And then you buy a box and you're like, wah.
Well, this brand you probably haven't heard of, and the reason you haven't is because their market is selling to high-end hotels, like the St. Regis.
So. Oh, you're so snazzy, Nita Jane.
Well, I find things out. I ask questions.
I probe. I go deeper. I want to know the hot topic.
I want to know.
Well, Beth W. wants to know if we have any strict rules about fireplaces and TV placement. Beth has written in to our decorating tips and tricks at Gmail and loving the podcast, having a little trouble figuring out how she can live with her TV in this room where the only logical spot to put it is really over the fireplace. Let me tell you what Beth says. She is not a fan of the TV over the fireplace, but it seems to be the only choice in this living room is to either put the TV over the fireplace or on the opposite wall, which would mean, dun, 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 that they would be sitting with their backs to the fireplace. I feel my back getting way too hot right now, Beth. And the other 2 walls are full of windows. So she wants to know, do we have any strict rules? And I'm going to say, no, Beth. From where Kelly sits, we don't have any strict rules. It sounds like you don't have any choice other than to put it over the fireplace because having your sofa with the back to the fireplace seems silly. And then putting a sofa against a window and then a TV in front of us, some windows, makes no sense, or having to crane your neck around the room to watch the TV makes no sense. So my thought would be, put that over the fireplace. Maybe if you need to get a new TV, you could look into the ones that project art when it's not a television. And I think those are pretty cool. And you might find something that you really like. And I know you can change the art. They're obviously going to be more expensive than a regular TV, but I bet the prices on those have come down significantly. Another option, and this is also not a low cost option, but I'm doing this at a client's house right now. There is a lift system that can go into the ceiling. So if you can create a soffit or if you've got some room in the ceiling, the TV can actually go into the ceiling and then just come down on hinges when you want to watch it.
Oh, that sounds wonderful.
Yes.
As long as it's not up too high. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. There's no choice here. You're going to have to put over the fireplace because you don't want a situation where you're facing your back where your back is to the fireplace. So I think there are a lot of ways that you can hide it. Kelly, you just covered several really good ideas. I was looking to see if we had an episode on that because I thought we have definitely talked about that.
Oh, we've talked about it many times.
But I could not find the actual episode. I just did a search real fast while you were talking. Couldn't find it, but it is in there somewhere. If we find it before this goes out, we'll put a link to it. But yeah, you can look on Pinterest to see some ideas. There are, if the TV is small enough, you can have a cabinet. You can buy a cabinet that your TV will fit in or have one made. I had a built-in cabinet put in. That our TV fits in. So the doors close when we're not watching it. But I'm very fascinated by those TVs where they look like a painting or some scene when they're off.
Yeah.
I think that would be
I think it's super cool. Yeah. I think this question and paint color questions are probably the top 2 questions that we've gotten over the years, and probably other bloggers have gotten too. This is a question that comes up over and over again. So we may have just addressed it in various questions throughout the episodes, but worth revisiting again. And I get the sense, Beth, you want us to tell you that it's okay to put it over the fireplace, and it is. In your instance, it is.
And I did. It's all right. It's okay. It's not ideal, but you know what? Sometimes you just have to do it. You just have to make the best decision for your situation. And that's what that is.
So are we ready to hear the winner of My Creative Space by Donald Rattner, this wonderful book?
Wait a minute.
There you go.
Can you hear that?
And you will win a signed copy, signed by Donald himself, not by me or Anita. And our winner is Christina Chesson.
Yay!
Christina! Thanks to everybody who entered. And a few people have asked, could they purchase the book if they weren't the winner? Yes, you can. I believe it will be on Amazon. We'll put the link in the show notes to this episode, but it may not be out yet. I think the book is actually being released in early March, but we'll keep you updated on that if you, in fact, want to purchase the book. But congratulations to Christina. We'll contact you by email and have the publisher and the author send a copy straight out to your home. Thanks to everybody who has entered, and we hope that we have an opportunity to do more book giveaways as the year goes on. And now, let's talk about the other really exciting thing that's been going on this past month is Team DTT. So February 14th, Valentine's Day has come and gone. And so the membership for Team DTT has closed for this round. We have our team and we are so excited. It is a group of the most fabulous ladies. So thank you to each and every one of you who has joined us. We're having a blast over on the Facebook page and we're just getting rolling. Everybody's joined us and we're mixing and mingling over there. So if you didn't have an opportunity to join Team DTT this round, I'm pretty sure we're going to be opening up the membership again during the year of 2020. So keep your eyes open, your ears open for that. And in the meantime, thanks again to everybody who joined. So much fun today.
It was fun.
I love doing these sort of fast and furious tips. I think it's great. Thanks so much for listening and hanging out with us. And remember, we are here to inspire you to create a beautiful home. Until next time.
Design dilemmas, questions, renovations, any project you want to talk about, any room, any space, we are here for you. And we really do enjoy doing these. And I think we've helped people a lot. So if you want to sign up for a consult, head to the link in the show notes. It's decoratingtipsandtricks.com/consult. We hope to talk to you soon.